itself as a subject is as complex as it is beautiful. Everybody has their own interpretations because they all have their own experiences of love. Trying to restrict it by giving it one single definition is impossible. I mean, if someone had figured out what love was, there wouldn't be so many books written about it. There'd be just one. What is love? This is it. So, if you ask me, to me, love is what love does. Of course, there are a lot of beautiful words people use to express their feelings of love. But I would rather look for love in people's actions and how they treat other people. Whether it's your family, your friends, or your lover. If you automatically want to put someone else before you, without expecting anything in return, no strings attached, completely unconditional, to me that is love. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you ask me, I truly do believe that the word love itself has lost its value. I mean, from what it used to be back in the days, where the kind of love that you would read about in books, or what you would see in movies, that kind of love has ceased to exist nowadays. And I think it's because of the way the word love is thrown around so loosely. I mean, if you look at the dating culture nowadays, they first say I love you, and then they get into a relationship. I mean, you have to get to know a person, you have to spend time with them, how they behave in certain situations and settings. So, you know how people have always said love is blind? I believe infatuation is blind. Love, on the other hand, is all-knowing. So when you know all the good and all the bad about a person, and you accept them completely for who they are, you still want to stand by them, that's when I feel love starts to materialize. Getting to know everything about a person is again an impossible task. So that probably wouldn't be the right thing to say, because no matter how much you spend time with the person, I mean, you don't even know yourself completely. In certain situations, you might react in a certain way that you never thought you would. So getting to know a person enough, because nobody's perfect. We're all flawed in our own ways, right? So in the beginning, everybody puts their best foot forward. So to base your whole relationship just on what you see in the beginning, I think is something people should avoid. Spend time with the person, get to know a person, see how they behave in certain situations, how they react to difficult times in the relationship or whatever it is. And if you still want to stick around, then it's absolutely perfect. Then you can go all in. Well, heartbreaks in general are like a part and parcel of love. I mean, we've all gone through it at some point or the other. By definition, they're supposed to be painful, right? Because it's a heartbreak. But when you're in a relationship, it's a partnership, right? You share all the good times and the bad times with a person. So you have someone to lean on. But as far as heartbreaks are concerned, you're all by yourself. So it's a very personal journey. And that makes you look inwards a lot more. The healing happens on the inside. And if you ask me, although they're bad by definition, I think they're very necessary, heartbreaks. Because each one teaches us a little bit more about what you need and don't need in your life. So tomorrow, you're definitely going to be better for it. Right. So I've seen the most common thing that people do when they're when they come face to face with a difficult situation in life is that they run away from it. Accepting what has happened is the first step towards healing. I mean, you are going to break, you're going to hurt, you're going to cry. It's going to happen. But it's completely okay to allow yourself to feel this way. That's how you heal. And this is by no means a sign of weakness. In fact, this requires an incredible amount of strength. But we can take solace in the uniqueness of the heart. The heart is the only thing that becomes stronger every time it breaks. As far as getting the courage to talk about these topics, I have that now. to be able to put my words out there to the world, but I never always had this. I mean, I didn't even want to be a writer to begin with. That only happened a couple of years ago when I met this girl. That was a major turning point in my life. Because before her, I didn't really believe in the whole concept of love. You know, that love that you read in books and you see in movies. I thought that's where they belonged, you know. But she changed everything for me. I mean, the impact that she had on my life, I mean, I couldn't wrap my head around it. She changed my belief system, my thought process, my perception on life. And I was feeling things I never thought I was capable of feeling. I'm not even talking about love here. That came much later. Initially, when we began, I just wanted to show her how grateful I was for what all she made me feel. So I started writing, and it was a very personal thing where I'd write down these poems and quotes and share them with her almost every day, just to let her know what an impact she's had on my life. And in turn, she would tell me that these quotes and these poems were making her smile so much and helping her get through a very tough day. That made me happy in return. But there was a point after a couple of months of this happening where she told me that imagine if these quotes were helping her out so much, that there was a whole world of people out there going through something or the other, you know, how much it could help them as well. So she was the one who actually made me take my writings public. So I started writing and posting stuff on Instagram, and it was actually very well received, and people could relate to the things I was saying, because we're all in a way going through something similar, right? When it comes to the matters of the heart, we're all in the same boat, regardless of your age, where you're from, whatever walk of life you're from, whatever gender, it doesn't matter. So that's how I started writing initially. And you can see in my quotes, they're all happy, they're all very positive, they talk about love only. So that went on for a while, and obviously, needless to say, it was the inevitable. I ended up falling in love with this girl, and that continued for a while, for a couple of months. And then in 2017, on April 27th, I received a call that morning from one of my friends, and he said that this girl had met with an accident, and she hadn't made it. And my life came to a standstill in a moment. Everything that I had built up in those couple of months was snatched away in a blink of an eye. And I became very bitter as a person, very honestly speaking, towards the world, towards the people around me, and it wasn't a very pleasant space. In fact, I stopped writing at that point because I started writing for her, right? So it was kind of, why am I doing this anymore? But there was a lot of healing involved. A lot of time went by, and I picked up that pen again, and I continued writing. And in a way, I think I've just been writing ever since, in my own way, to keep her alive through my words, you know, and I just haven't stopped ever since. In fact, this book is a dedication to her. The first quote that I like, that's one of my favorites, is because it was amongst the first few that I had ever written, and it was for her. It was the experience that I had of the kind of guy I was before her, and the change she brought about in my life. It was that turning point. So I wrote about it. And the quote goes something like, the ghost of the man that once was wandered about in this soulless realm. He had been this way for as long as he could remember, until one day his eyes fell upon her again. He stood there in stunned silence, but not because of her ethereal beauty, but because he had heard a sound he had not heard in ages: his heartbeat. Because the book was a dedication to her, Um, I wanted something to be there right at the beginning of the book for everybody to read as to why exactly this book is for her. I want to make that clear. So I've written, the quote is, why do I write about her? Because I'm not selfish. I could very easily keep her locked away in my memory. But a love like hers could inspire millions. So instead, I will give her a permanent place in history. Yeah, of course, there are many books on love and relationships and loss and heartbreak. But every single thing that I've written in this book, I've literally poured my heart and soul out into this book, all through my personal experiences. And over the past 4 to 5 years, every single thing that I've been writing and the responses that the people have given to all the quotes and all the poems, I've seen that every one of us is going through something similar. So, I mean, if you flip the book open to any page, it'll surely be something you've either felt or you're currently going through in your life. I think it's the high level of relatability that people are going to connect with in this book. So I really hope they find a friend in its pages who they bond with. Their go-to friend who makes them smile, who gives them the shoulder to cry on. But most importantly, a friend who will always reassure you that you will never be alone.